I am speaking to you from Portland, Oregon. As Elena said, I'm a classmate of hers from the Yale Climate Change and Public Health Certificate Program. I'm by training a psychiatrist. I'm a third generation physician, and I'm an activist in what is termed the movement of all movements, which is coined by longtime nonviolent activist Dr. George Lakey. But I don't want to talk about Dr. Saskia today. I want to tell you the story about how I became Rocky. And Rocky is the activist name that was given to me in November of 2020, after the first time I was stalked for my activism. And I want to dedicate this story to the Doomers, who are a group of activists I've been working with in mental health mutual aid. This is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And these activists have helped me understand that they have no hope for their future, and they've really given themselves over to a kind of nihilism that's quite dangerous to their health and the health of our society. Rocky is a wounded healer. The name is a nod to both the warrior in me, but also to the rocks that I gave out in the uprisings of 2020 here in Portland. And Passionistas, I want to ask you today the same question that I asked the protesters that would come into our respite station, which is, which do you need more? Do you need love? In which case I'll give you rose quartz. Or do you need protection? In which case I'll give you obsidian. Rocky works on intuition, not logic. And she's a scientist and an activist of a different type. I'm in the field of translational research, translational science. This is a new multidisciplinary field. It's being looked at in biomedical science. It's being looked at in public health. And what I've really been doing in the last couple of years is pioneering the application of psychological first aid, which is a disaster technique, into the field. So I've done that in protest situations. I've done that in collective grief circles. I'm partnering with artists. I'm partnering with nonprofits. And it's a trauma-informed, evidence-based methodology, which takes as its premise that trauma, we as humans, we are naturally resilient to trauma. And as you know from climate change, trauma is going to be more and more part of our daily life as the planet warms. So it's also a climate change adaptation that I've made in my own career. But I want to go back a little bit to how Rocky originated. And that is when I was a little girl, I didn't understand why the world was the way it was. And I used to give away my allowance to charitable causes. And I donated books to prisons. I sent money to a girl my age in Africa and bought her textbooks and her shoes for years. I was once caught by my parents calling in to Jimmy Swaggart. They stopped me from giving him money, but I would have done that too. And then fast forward to age 21, when I had a very profound and disabling depression, which I would call existential crisis. And out of that crisis came my path forward to psychiatry. I planted a seed in that black hole, and I promised myself that one day I would help other people escape the black hole. And I did that very successfully until 2019, when through a series of personal tragedies, the life that I had so carefully constructed as a physician really began to fall apart. And Rocky is the outgrowth of that post-traumatic growth. And here's two things I want to tell you about that were key in that transformation. The first is, we know from the research from Roshi Joan Halifax, who studies toxic stress, is that the difference between toxic stress and stress is simply this: it's pausing. So I used my own spiritual practice starting in 2016 and beyond to transform my own suffering into altruism. And what I really recommend to all of you is that you try to take 15 minutes every day for what I call resilience practice. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you sing, if you dance, if you journal, if you meditate, if you draw, if you dig in the dirt, but devote those 15 minutes to resilience. And that will transform any kind of toxic stress into stress. And that has a profound effect on your body. The other thing that was key to the transformation to Rocky was that I uncoupled myself from the silo that this world has put us in. Our science, as you know, is siloed into fields. And what needs to happen for us to move science forward in this next phase that we're going into in climate change is that we need to unshackle that, and we need to start blending our fields together. That's why I signed up for the climate change certificate in public health. It's why I started studying the humanitarian crisis that we're in here in Portland at a societal level. And in the past 3 years, I've successfully left my field of psychiatry. I'm now in the field of peace building, in democracy activism, in violence prevention. I work in the fight for human rights, for women's rights, for for houseless advocacy, for trans rights, immigrants' rights, carceral justice, social justice. What unites all of these movements is nonviolent resistance. That's how we win, Passionistas. And I also made my own systemic life change. I left the suburbs and I executed my own one-person rebellion. I cut my carbon footprint by 70%. I walked to work. My kids walked to school, and I invested in living in our city's wounded core. I also decided to devote 50% of my time to activism pro bono. Passionistas, I want to tell you today, Mother Earth is calling for all of us to innovate. We need to use our lives, our networks, our work, our hearts for systemic change. The status quo will kill the seventh generation. And to the doomers, I really want you to know I am fighting with you and for you. I love each and every one of you, and I want every soul on this fight for University Earth. Stay with us, resist, dissent. It will do your soul good.